Charlotte Katakuri debuted on OPTC Global on the 27th of September 2018. Following the debut of the V2 Admirals, this batch brought along a Sugo-Fest exclusive that was severely underpowered in comparison. However, they make up for this with some unique characters that became fan favorites over the course of the game. The characters that were included in this batch were some of the first Whole Cake Island characters to release in OPTC, and these characters included Charlotte Oven, my main man Bobbin, Charlotte Amand, as well as Charlotte Brûlée. And the Sugo-Fest exclusive character that debuted with this batch was given a unique captain ability that promoted critical thinking in terms of team building and also in combat, in order to defeat opponents utilizing delays through immunity, along with a special ability that rewarded the player by correctly utilizing his captain ability. Also, applying matching slots and reducing the crew's cooldown, he can be useful in quite a few circumstances. Introducing my main man, Big Mom Pirate Suite 3 Charlotte Mr. Slam Jam Katakuri. In this series, we'll be traveling back in time to experience some of the older Sugo-Fest exclusive characters in their prime, aiming to show just what it was like to use these characters on their debut. I hope you enjoy the video, and without further ado, let's enter the Legends of OPTC. Thank you very much for checking out yet another episode of the Legends of OPTC, and today we're going to be covering one of my personal favorites, Charlotte Katakuri, version 1, Mr. Slam Jam. He came out swinging out the gate with a really interesting kit, nothing that we'd ever seen before, with a very interesting playstyle. So we'll get into what his abilities are in just a moment, but we have obviously the brand new batch, which was kind of interesting because only 2 of the 4 characters that debuted with Katakuri actually works with Katakuri. It's just really bizarre. But here we go with Charlotte Oven. Oven is a Dex powerhouse fighter, and his captain ability doesn't really matter, but he actually has a pretty cool effect of reducing special bind by 1 turn, and that's for the whole crew, by the way, which is pretty cool. And he also gives himself an additional 2 times damage when he himself attacks a strength unit, meaning that as a Dex character, he has no type disadvantage when he attacks. It basically classifies it as like neutral damage, though if you use color affinity it does reduce it, but either way it's a very cool effect. And then you've got his special ability, which says that if there are delayed enemies when you launch the special, you get an attack boost to fighter, striker, shooter, cerebral, and powerhouse 2 times for 1 turn. If there are no delayed enemies, you get a 1.75 times boost to fighter and powerhouse only for 3 turns. Now, it's a very weird special. If you look at this by itself, it's a very bizarre special, but when you have a look at Katakuri himself and what he aims to do, then this effect does make a little bit more sense. But this character really didn't see, he actually saw a little bit of play on release, but as time progressed, this type of special became less and less useful. Interesting to note, though, is that he actually did receive double special activation via his limit break expansion. And while you think double special activation is good, for a special ability like this, probably not the most useful effect out there. But I guess, if you are using the V1 Katakuri still in today's day and age, then I guess this effect could be useful. But all things considered, a pretty average rare recruit to today's standards on release was pretty good. And then we get to one of the most beloved rare recruits in the game's history, Rare Recruit Bobbin. And for those of you who were back when this batch was first coming out, if you didn't get your hands on Bobbin, it made a lot of content moving forward a little bit more difficult, just because of his amazing utility that he had. So he's a quick slasher free spirit. This is one of the characters actually that doesn't work with Katakuri. He doesn't receive a single boost if I remember correctly. And then his special ability, as we all know, reduces Threshold, Rainbow Shield, and Blue Shield, and he also does end of turn healing. I didn't know that, but whatever. All by 5 turns, and then also reduces attack down by 5 turns and changes adjacent slots into matching. It's kind of funny that we're making this video now, as Legend Uta had just released on Global, and the thing is that we had a rare recruit in that batch of the film Red Brook that has a very similar special to this Bobbin, removing those defensive effects and also attack down by 5 turns on top of having some orb changing mechanics. This character character has a special that if released today would still be good. Bobbin is still one of the best rev recruits that has ever released in the game's history. Nothing is changing that. With expansion going down to 10 turns is absurd. This character's great on release and has only gotten better over time. Next was a very interesting one. We have Charlotte Amand, who is an int/driven, and her special ability was multi-stage, but have a look at these cooldowns. Stage 1 is a 12 turn, Stage 2, 29 turn cooldown, and when you have a look what it does, reduces all enemies' defense 100% for 1 turn, reduces barriers by 3 turns, and also deals 50% HP cut to a single target. So, when you have a look at a cooldown like that, I mean, you can kind of make sense. A 50% health cut to 1 target is pretty busted. And remember, normal attacks only did not exist when this character came out. So, when a lot of people read this special, we all thought it was one of the most busted specials in the game. However, when you take a look, it's 29 turns. So, you know, it's not really that useful. But, you know, we had max special ship that would come out quite often during big celebrations. And during those celebrations, Amand saw so much play because getting access to a special like this was wicked. And, I mean, even still, 12 turn cooldown for the stage 1, which still provides a defense reduction. It still removes 2 turns of barriers, which is very, very unique. Not too many characters remove 1 barrier, let alone 2, let alone 3 with stage 2, but then also still provides a single target 20% health cut. So Amand really was one of those characters that only really saw play when we had the max special ship, but the stage 1 special of Amand is what you would commonly see play. But, you know, even with stage 1, it would still be used here and there. And then we've got Brule, who came out alongside Katakuri, Cerebral Striker. And then you've got the special, also being multi-stage, changes tandem and recovery slots of this character into a Psy slot, changes all other slots including block of all characters into whatever orb that Brule has, and then also adds 30 times her attack in typeless damage as additional typeless damage, tap timing bonus damage for 5 turns. You got the stage 1 as well being very, very similar, but the typeless damage only lasting for 3 turns instead. This special ability wasn't really that good on release and really didn't see a lot of play, and even to today's standards, it's a pretty bad effect. Though I must say that the Limber Break ability, reducing all characters' paralysis by 1, very, very valuable. You gotta always respect what that's able to do. Psy slot's beneficial to Cerebral, also very good. By this time, Cerebral was one of the best classes in the game. They had so much support, and I think at this point, were probably considered to be the best class, or if not one of the best classes. They were absolutely absurd. So unfortunately, Brule and Oven are the most disappointing of the batch, but definitely Bobbin bringing that batch up to be quite a high standard. And then we get to the main man himself, Mr. Slam Jam Katakuri, the Big Mom Pirate Suite 3, Strength, Shooter, Cerebral. Interesting being a shooter. Not too many characters are shooters. I think out of all characters in the game, shooters have the lowest representation, if I remember correctly. There's not a lot of shooters in the game, so it is nice that we get one here. The Captain ability, very, very intriguing, boosting the attack of Fighter, Striker, Shooter, Cerebral, and Powerhouse by 1.825, very specific, and also reduces damage received by 20%, makes Quick, Psy, Recovery, and Tandem slots beneficial to all characters, and has a chance to delay all enemies by 1 turn based on the damage dealt in the previous turn. So just to run through this once again, this 1.825 multiplier meant that if you had a character that was 2 of these classes, then it would be 1.825 squared. It would be multiplying into itself, which would equate to a 3.33 times multiplier. Now remember, at this point in time, we had characters like Lucy, Neko, Timeskip Luffy that were able to reach these 4 times multipliers. And then you had Katakuri come out that was only around a 3.3, so it was much lower power level than what we'd seen. But the reason why they did that is because he had so much else in his kit. 20% damage reduction is absurd. He also providing so many beneficial slots. Not too many characters would even provide 1 slot as beneficial, let alone 4 natural slots as matching. And then the delay mechanic is what they heavily valued in his kit. So the way that it worked is that the base effect is that if you did 100,000 damage, it's a 20% delay, 20% chance to inflict a delay to all enemies. 500,000 damage would give you 50% chance to delay. If you hit 1 million damage in normal attacks, then you get 100% chance to delay the enemy at the end of the turn. And then if you hit 2 million, it's a 100% chance of delay that goes through all debuff protection. Very valuable to do that. So it means that if you attack and you get the enemy down to like below 20%, if you've done over 2 million damage, you can guarantee to delay them, which means that you can kind of, you know, get that second turn to do the damage against the enemy, which is really, really cool. But then you have a look at the special ability, which would boost the attack against delayed enemies by 1.75 for 2 turns, and then also changes all type slots and block slots into the classes that he boosts, Fighter, Striker, Shooter, Cerebral, Powerhouse, into matching slots, and then also reduces the cooldown of those classes by 1 turn. So this is also kind of cool in the fact that he provides a delayed conditional boost, but the problem is that on the initial turn that you activate his special ability, you know, you get the orb changing and you get the cooldown, but the delayed conditional really doesn't do anything, because on the initial turn, you have to do your normal attacks to inflict the delay to the enemy. And the thing is, there is a lot of enemies at this point that if you didn't kill them on turn 1, they would have some additional gimmick that would occur after that first turn of attacks. So in a lot of instances, it was really annoying to use Katakuri, because you would want to get that delay on the initial turn, but then after you delay them, yeah, they're delayed, they don't attack you, but they'll still have an additional gimmick which can still make the fight relatively difficult. But all things considered, if you take it into account and you can get around it, you get a free 1.75 conditional boost so long as you have dealt 1 to 2 million damage plus in that previous turn. So he's a very interesting playstyle, and I guess we're going to showcase that in this video today. I'm excited to jump into this one because, as I said, one of my favorite characters in the whole One Piece series, and getting his first Sugo-Fest exclusive outing, I definitely wanted to go ahead and have a lot of fun with this one. So let's go ahead and see what kind of content we're going to be playing today. So we've got 3 different Clash events this time. We're not doing Colosseums, we've got Clash events. We've got Clash Zoro, Clash Cracker, and Clash Judge. So I think all 3 of these are going to be somewhat difficult for Katakuri to get through, but I'm excited to jump into it. All of these at the time of release were pretty difficult. Let's go ahead and spin that wheel and see what we're going to be using V1 Katakuri in today. I'm pretty pumped to see what it is. I don't care which one we do, I'm excited for either of them. And it's going to be Judge. Okay, this is going to be a very interesting quest. Here we go, utilizing V1, Charlotte Katakuri, and some content. I can't wait, I've been waiting for this episode. Let's get into it. And here we are in game with my man, Mr. Slam Jam Katakuri, member of the Big Mom Pirates and one of the Sweet 3 generals. He ate the mochi mochi fruit, which allows him to turn his body into a sticky rice paste-like substance and stretch his body much like Luffy does. With the sticky properties of his devil fruit proving difficult to deal with, he is Luffy's greatest rival until he reaches Wano and has to fight Kaido and all of those people over there. But Katakuri at that point was definitely Luffy's most difficult battle to get through, and yeah, here he is. Now this one, you can see we have a couple of like really weird like potential abilities. I don't know why his potential abilities are like this, but I had a dupe sitting here with plus 200 cotton candy ready to go. I believe that, you know, back in the day, it was actually really useful to have both an evolved, like 6+ Katakuri and a 6-star Katakuri, because the 6+ version of him, he doesn't actually provide the conditional boost on activation. He only provides it after you hit a certain amount of perfects, whereas this guy, he does provide it on activation. So using a combo of this and 6+ Usopp actually allowed you to get a guaranteed conditional boost on activation, which was useful a little bit back in the day in old school Kizunas. But anyways, this is the team composition that we have here, ready to jump into Clash Judge. I think Clash Judge is going to be kind of tricky. Clashes inherently are relatively difficult, especially in this point in time. A lot of really powerful characters releasing. Definitely difficulty started to ramp up with some of the content that was releasing. We've got basically a cerebral based team here. We've got a few free-to-play characters actually. Kuma, Neptune, and Pedro all being free-to-play Colosseum characters. And then we've got Rare Recruit Nami, who's going to provide us with multiple turns of a cerebral attack boost, alongside Zunisha, which is at this point in time the best ship in the game. And the fact that Katakuri was a character that is cerebral and focuses on boosting cerebral and a whole bunch of other classes, including powerhouse as well, so you can run like a hybrid powerhouse cerebral team. Zunisha was definitely the best ship to be using with him if you could build a team around that. So let's go ahead and jump into the content now versus Judge. So thank you very much to the 12.1 update. Then we can go ahead and just use our own friend captain here to go ahead and take on Clash Judge, Tyrannical Father. Here we go, using my man Mr. Slam Jam Katakuri, man. What an honor. What an honor to be using this guy once again in content. Let's jump into it. Here we go. The 60 stamina difficulty of Clash Judge. So preemptive attack is, I think it's a higher chance of badly matching slots for the rest of the content. Yeah, for 49 turns. So if you can outstall it if you want, but definitely not something that you should be doing. Now, one thing that we have to take note of, these characters in the front row, these guys will bind random characters if they stay alive on the second turn. So we can keep them alive for at least one turn, so we can go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and just kill them off though, I think. We can stall one turn on them, but it's okay. And there you go, there's the delay animation. A bit questionable, ayo! But the really cool thing about it is, right, is that when you use Katakuri, if you deal 100,000 damage, 20% chance to delay. 500,000 damage is 50% chance to delay. If you use double Katakuri, you get those rolls twice, meaning that you have a higher chance of landing. Well, I say a higher chance. It's technically still the same amount of chance of landing it, but you get more rolls at it. So, you know, you can roll 100,000 damage and, you know, it's a 20% chance of delay. If your first Katakuri doesn't do it, you have another chance with another Katakuri. Though a lot of people were opting to use hybrids of, you know, Katakuri on one side and then like Lucy on the other side to run a strength Dex and quick team like that. That was an option too. But of course, it's way more fun utilizing double Katakuri, that's for damn sure. Alright, let's go ahead and get our stall in. So the thing about this as well is that Katakuri has naturally very low cooldown. So we're really just relying on the rest of our characters to get cooldown. One thing though is that the Colosseum Neptune that we have on our team, he has a really cool crewmate ability of he reduces his own cooldown by 1 anytime. Is it another special or just a cerebral characters? I don't know, but he reduces his cooldown anytime another special is launched, which is kind of nice considering his cooldown is naturally quite high. So it kind of means that you don't need to stall as much as you think you need to with Neptune, which is just, you know, something kind of nice. And, you know, Katakuri just provides so many natural slots as matching. Even if you weren't running Zunisha as the ship, recovery and tandem slots are always treated as beneficial. Now this stage is kind of tricky because these blue guys at the back, if they stay alive, they do, I think they reverse our cooldowns, and I think it's -4 per character that stays alive. So we need to kill all of these blue guys initially, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's get it. Oh no, we missed. Okay. Should be dead. There we go. Okay, so we had to kill the Elder Turtle there, which wasn't really ideal. Kind of wanted to keep him alive for a little bit of stall. But look, you gotta do what you gotta do. Those guys had to go down. We kind of missed up the tap timing, but no real matter. I think we're doing relatively okay. We won't have to actually stall for that much longer. We need to make sure our specials are pretty much ready to go by battle 4. That's when we're going to start launching some specials. So we'll go ahead and just pass the turn here. We can definitely just move on now. Okay, so battle 3, we've got the Seahorse, which is annoying, and these guys all in the front row, they all have very, very high defense, so I don't think we're going to be able to pierce through that, but we'll see what happens. We just need to do normal attacks and kill them off, so let's go ahead and do it. Bing. Now, can we pierce it? We did pierce it with Katakuri, which is kind of cool. And we didn't get the delay, which would have been kind of cool, but either way, no real matter. And we'll see that Neptune has a 2-turn cooldown. Move into the next stage with preemptives. Neptune will be ready. If not, we have specials as well, so we're good to go. We don't need to do any more stalls. So Katakuri has a very interesting playstyle, as we said. You know, you're really aiming to hit those delays so that you can get that conditional boost. But depending on how you build the team, sometimes you don't even need the conditional boost in order to beat content. A lot of the times you have crewmates to do it for you, which is kind of nice. Right, so this stage is definitely one of the stages with Clash Judge that made it really difficult. All of these guys having very specific slot barriers. I can't remember what the legend was at the time, that or what the like most ideal team was in order to beat this, but there were a lot of different strategies that you could employ to actually get this done. So let's go ahead and start launching some specials. So we're going to use not the Neptune, well, we will be using Neptune, but let's go ahead and use the special ability of Kuma, which is going to enable us to immediately KO one of these mob characters. Now you see they have different slot barriers, and there's different variations of this stage where certain slot barriers will be on certain characters. Some of them will have certain slots, like sometimes they'll be int slots, sometimes they'll be quick slots. So by using Kuma, we can just eliminate the guy that needed the deck slot, as we won't get any deck slots on this team through using special abilities. So now we can go ahead and use Neptune, which is going to go ahead and remove the Despair for us, and it provides a 1.75 Orb boost to Cerebral and Powerhouse for 3 turns. Neptune was one of the best free-to-play characters for such a long time. Such an incredible special. Let's go ahead and use Katakuri now. So Katakuri is going to change all of the block slots and type slots into matching, give us a conditional boost, which isn't going to matter, and also provide -1 cooldown to the crew. And now we can go ahead and use the Nami special. So it's going to give us an attack boost turn 1, and we need to hit 5 perfects in order to get the attack boost in the next stage, which is where the Zunisha ship kind of comes in clutch, because Zunisha does make perfects easier to hit. However, one thing that is noteworthy is that the free-to-play Kuma does have barrier penetration, so we want to make sure that we hitting with the right characters. We want to hit 5 perfects, and that can be difficult to do when we have a lot of different buffs here. So we have to be very cautious as to how we approach this. So definitely utilizing Pedro to kill the side barrier. So I'm thinking of going, Nami, Neptune, Pedro kills that guy. Then we'll go with Kuma on the middle guy, and then we'll go Katakuri and then the strength slot Katakuri to get the win. That'll enable us to hit with all of our characters. We're going to hit 6 perfects. If we mess up, that'll be okay. We should have another character to pick up the slack, and we should be good to go. Hopefully we hit all our perfects in the right order. So we're going to go Nami, Neptune, Pedro, Kuma, Kata. Alright, let's get it. Here we go. Perfect. That was absolutely perfect. We hit all of our perfects. We're going to get the attack boost from Nami in the following turn, which is great, because what Judge does, he limits the amount of specials we can use in a turn, which I guess realistically didn't really matter, but it just means as well that we don't have an extra special that we don't need to launch. But he does actually react to orb boosting effects, which is why Neptune is going to be super good here, because he provides multiple turns of the orb boost. So we have Orb Boost, we have Attack Boost, and then with Pedro, he's going to provide us with Color Affinity. So we have a lot of specials and just a lot of damage here. So ideally we get the kill turn 1, but the problem here is that you have to hit him with a strength slot first in order to break his barrier, which is a bit annoying. It means that we're not going to be able to hit in the most, ideal order. So it means that if we don't kill, we'll get the delay either way. We're going to do a lot of damage to him. So let's go ahead and hit him and hopefully kill him. If not, we delay, we win the next turn, right? So here we go. Let's get it. So we just missed out on the kill. We did get the delay though, which is wicked. We did very, very crazy damage. I think it was around, what, 9-10 million damage? It was a lot. So he's delayed. He doesn't do anything on the next turn. So we can go ahead and use Katakuri here, the amazing animation, which will give us the 1.75 times conditional boost. He is delayed. That is counted. And then all we need to do is attack. We still have Color Affinity active. He doesn't have a lot of HP remaining. And then with 2 normal attacks, that'll probably be enough to kill him. Here we go. And there it is. V1 Katakuri absolutely dominating. Clash, Judge, Tyrannical Father. What a bunch of fun, dude. Katakuri is such an interesting playstyle, and of course things have changed as time has progressed with his super evolution and the way that he likes to get stuff done. But all of that being said, still a lot of fun to go ahead and use V1 Katakuri, my boy Mr. Slam Jam, into some content. A lot of fun. So that just about does it for this video today. Looking into next week's episode though, we're going to be covering more Whole Cake Island related characters. The next one in line is going to be V2 Sanji, which is definitely not one of my personal favorites. Not a big fan of V2 Sanji, but he is next on the list, so we're going to be covering him and all of his fighter-related shenanigans. But that's going to wrap it up from me. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all of the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.